Hi, I'm Tom Birkeland, author of An Introduction to the Policy Process and professor of public policy at North Carolina State University. I hope you enjoy the book, and I hope you find these videos useful. In this video, we'll describe what is public policy. In my textbook, I use a very simple definition of this term, what government chooses to do or not to do. But there are other ways to think about the definition of public policy, and seeing what other scholars have done to define the term can help you understand better what it is when we say we study public policy.
Here are 5 different definitions that various scholars have used to try to define the policy process. What do you think these definitions have in common? Study them for a second, or of course you can find this in the textbook. Well, these definitions all share some ideas in common. The first of these ideas is a policy response to a problem. People don't usually make policies unless they think that it's going to solve some sort of a problem. The problem might be that there's too much of something, too much crime, too much unemployment, too much disease, or not enough of something, not enough jobs, people aren't making enough money, something like that. But anytime people perceive a problem for which government might provide a solution, they'll propose a public policy. And policies are made by governments. This is a key feature of these definitions of public policy. If a policy isn't made by government, it's not really a public policy. Policies can affect the public. Policies like Facebook's policies on what sort of things can be posted certainly have an influence on the public, but they're not public policies in the same sense that policies passed by government are public policies. Of course, government may want to pass a public policy to regulate Facebook, and that would be a public policy. The third point is that policy is made in the public interest. Most people will make an appeal to the public interest when they make public policy. What I mean by this is that people think that the policy is good for the public at large. It may affect some people more than others. Some people have to pay more for a service or a thing, but the benefits would be broadly distributed out amongst the entire public. So, for example, a proposal to raise taxes on the very wealthy to provide services for everybody, that would have an effect on rich people, but it would benefit everybody, and that would be claimed to be in the public interest. So public policy is made in the public interest. The fourth idea these definitions share is that policies have goals. People are trying to accomplish something. They're trying to accomplish some end, greater wealth, greater prosperity, greater health, greater equality, however that's defined. All public policy has either an explicit or an implicit goal. Policies are implemented, though, by public and private actors. We make public policies, say in the legislature, maybe in regulations, but we rely on both the public and private organizations to implement policy. So a regulation of a business, for example, if you're on an airplane and they give you the talk about where the emergency exits are, how to put on your life vest, how to evacuate in an emergency, that's a regulatory requirement of the airlines. In other words, a safety idea that is in public policy is implemented by the airlines in pursuit of the public interest, which of course is airline safety. The final definition that a lot of these share is that policy can be action or inaction. A public policy can be a decision by government to do something or a decision not to do something. And that's a really important thing to keep in mind. There's a lot of things that government chooses not to do or that our institutions choose not to do. We don't have a universal healthcare system in the United States, for example. A choice has been made not to do that. So public policies can be both what the government chooses to do and not to do. So my definition of policy is a statement by government of what it intends to do, such as a law, regulation, ruling, decision, order, or a combination of these. The lack of such statements may be an implicit statement of policy not to do something. In other words, if you don't see a policy about something, the question would be, what did the government do when they talked about addressing that problem? Did they take a vote and just decide not to do anything about it? That would be an important question to understand. So a policy is a statement by government at whatever level of what it intends to do or not to do about a public problem. And those policies take all kinds of forms, such as constitutional provisions. The First Amendment to the Constitution is a policy about freedom of speech. But then there's laws, there's regulations. And as Schneider and Ingram say, policies are revealed through text, practices, symbols, and discourses that define and deliver values, including goods and services, as well as regulations, income status, or other positively or negatively valued attributes. So what we mean by this is that policies are revealed by the text of laws, but also the way laws are implemented, the symbols people use as they implement policies, the way we talk about policies, the way we talk about people on welfare, for example, delivers a value. The way we sometimes talk about people on welfare in a negative way creates negatively valued attributes around people that are on welfare, for example. Whereas sometimes we talk about the subsidies given to businesses as being a positive attribute, something that's good for the economy, good for employment, things like that. So policies can be revealed in all sorts of ways. And later in the book, I'll describe a little bit more about how policies can range from really obvious ones like changes to the Constitution to really subtle ones like the changes in the behavior of police officers or teachers or things like that.
Thanks for watching this video. As always, I really enjoy hearing from students and teachers about the book and about public policy. Feel free to reach out to me at tom@tomberkland.com or visit my website, tomberkland.com. Thanks again for watching.